Admiral Park Hyun stood on the command deck of Luna Station, watching the stars through the massive viewing window. The coffee in his cup had gone cold hours ago, but he barely noticed. Something felt wrong today, though he couldn't explain what. The piece of space shattered when Lieutenant Kim Soo-young burst through the doors, her face pale with fear. "Admiral, we have a problem, a big one." Park Hyun turned to face her. "What kind of problem?" "Ships, sir. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. They just appeared at the edge of our solar system." The Admiral's blood ran cold. Earth's early warning. Systems were the best in human space. Nothing should be able to sneak up on them like this. "Show me," he ordered. The main screen flickered to life, displaying the outer reaches of their solar system. What Park Hyun saw made his stomach drop. A massive fleet of alien ships hung in space like dark clouds, their hulls gleaming with strange metals and pulsing lights. The ships were unlike anything humans had ever seen. Some looked like living creatures, others resembled crystal formations, and a few appeared to be made of pure energy. "How many?" Park Hyun asked, his voice steady despite the fear in his chest. "Computer estimates 12,000 ships, sir. All different designs. It's like they come from different worlds." Park Hyun had spent his entire life preparing for this moment. First contact with alien life. But he had always imagined it would be peaceful, maybe even friendly. This looked like an invasion force. "Get me Ambassador Kang Min-ji on the line. Now." Within minutes, the ambassador's face appeared on the communication screen. Kang Min-ji was known throughout Earth as one of their best diplomats. She had helped solve conflicts between Mars and Europa, and had even managed to make peace between the mining guilds and the space farmers. If anyone could handle this situation, it was her. "Admiral, I've been watching the reports. This is unprecedented." "What do you think they want?" Park Hyun asked. Before Kang Min-ji could answer, every screen on Luna Station flickered. The alien ships were sending a message. A voice filled the command center, speaking perfect English through some kind of translation device. The voice was cold and mechanical, with an undertone that made humans feel small and insignificant. "Primitive species of the third planet. I am High Arbiter Vel Taurus of the Galactic Dominion. You will listen and obey." The screen showed an alien unlike anything from Earth's movies or books. Vel Taurus looked like a walking crystal, with sharp edges that caught and reflected light in strange ways. Its voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Your species has reached the level of basic space travel. According to Dominion law, you must now choose. Submit to our rule and become part of our empire, or be destroyed completely. You have 72 of your hours to decide." Park Hyun felt his hands clench into fists. The alien was talking to humanity like they were children who had misbehaved. "The Dominion has ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years, Velatoris continued. "We have brought peace and order to 800 civilizations. You will join them, as servants, or you will join the dead. There is no third option." The transmission cut off, leaving the command center in stunned silence. "Servants?" Lieutenant Kim Soo-young whispered. "They want to make us slaves?" Park Hyun looked around at his crew. He saw fear in their eyes, but also something else: anger. Humans had spent thousands of years fighting for their freedom. They had broken free from kings and emperors, from dictators and tyrants. The idea of bowing to alien masters made his blood boil. "Get me a channel to Earth immediately," he ordered. "All frequencies. I want every human in the solar system to hear this." Ambassador Kang Min-ji appeared on the screen again, but this time she was calling from Earth's Capitol building. Behind her, Park Hyun could see government officials running back and forth, their faces full of panic. "Admiral, the World Council is meeting now. They want to negotiate. Maybe we can find a peaceful solution." "And if we can't?" Park Hyun asked. Kang Min-ji was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was firm. "Then we fight. Humanity has never bowed to anyone. We're not starting now." Park Hyun smiled grimly. This was why he respected her so much. Kang Min-ji understood what it meant to be human. The next few hours passed in a blur of activity. Scientists analyzed the alien ships, trying to understand their technology. Military leaders planned defense strategies that seemed hopeless against such overwhelming numbers. Politicians argued about whether they should surrender or fight. But down on Earth, something unexpected was happening. Instead of panic, people were getting angry. News reports showed crowds gathering in every major city, all chanting the same thing: "We will not kneel." The miners on Mars sent a message saying they would rather die than become slaves. The ice harvesters on Europa declared they would fight to the last person. Even the peaceful scientists on the research stations were volunteering for military service. When the 72 hours were almost up, Ambassador Kang Minji requested a direct channel to the alien fleet. Park Hyun watched from Luna Station as she sat in the communication center, looking calm and confident. "High Arbiter Veltoris," she said when the crystal alien appeared on screen. "I have humanity's answer to your ultimatum. You will surrender as all others have done," Veltoris replied. "It is the logical choice." Kang Minji smiled, and Park Hyun felt a chill run down his spine. He had seen that smile before, during her toughest negotiations. It was the smile of someone who was about to do something completely unexpected. "We reject your ultimatum entirely," she said. "Not only will humanity never surrender to you, we hereby declare war on the Galactic Dominion." The silence that followed was so complete that Park Hyun could hear his own heartbeat. On the screen, Veltoris seemed to freeze, as if the words didn't make sense. "You declare war? On us?" The alien's voice actually sounded confused. "This is impossible. No species has ever done this. You cannot win. Our fleet contains 12,000 ships. You have perhaps 50. "Numbers don't matter," Kang Minji replied. "What matters is will, and humanity's will is unbreakable." "You will be destroyed," Veltoris said, but now there was something like uncertainty in its voice. "Maybe," Kang Minji admitted, "but we'll take as many of you with us as we can, and when the next human ship meets your fleet, they'll remember what we did here. They'll know that humanity fought back. That's worth more than life itself." The transmission ended, and Park Hyun realized that history had just changed forever. Humanity had just declared war on an alien empire that ruled the galaxy. His personal communicator buzzed. It was Captain Lee Do-hyun, commanding the experimental warship Incheon's Pride. The ship was humanity's most advanced vessel, equipped with new plasma weapons that had never been tested in real combat. "Admiral, we have movement from the alien fleet. A small group of ships is heading toward Mars. I think they want to make an example of the colonies." Park Hyun didn't hesitate. "Intercept them, Captain. Show these aliens what humans are made of." "Yes, sir. It'll be an honor." Through the viewing window, Park Hyun watched as the Incheon's Pride and 5 other human ships moved toward the alien squadron. It looked hopeless. 6 human vessels against what appeared to be 50 alien ships. But Park Hyun had studied military history his entire life. He knew that sometimes the smaller force could win if they were smarter, faster, or more desperate than their enemies. The battle began near the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. The alien ships moved in perfect formation, their weapons firing in coordinated patterns. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. But Captain Lee Do-hyun had learned from studying every human conflict in history. Instead of meeting the aliens head-on, he split his small fleet into 3 groups. They used the asteroids for cover, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. The first alien ship to die was hit by plasma fire from 3 different directions at once. Its shields collapsed, and the hull melted like ice in a furnace. The aliens tried to respond, but their perfect formations became a weakness when the humans refused to fight by the rules. Lee Do-hyun's ships moved like wolves hunting a herd of deer. They struck fast and hard, then vanished before the aliens could fight back. Within an hour, 20 alien ships were drifting wrecks, while the humans had lost only 1 vessel. The remaining alien ships retreated, but not before sending a message back to their main fleet. Park Hyun could only imagine what they were reporting, that the humans were not like other species they had conquered. That humanity fought with a savagery and cleverness that made no sense. When the Incheon's pride returned to Luna Station, Captain Lee Do-hyun's first words were simple. "We hurt them, Admiral. They're not invincible." Park Hyun nodded, feeling something he hadn't felt since the aliens arrived. Hope. The Galactic Dominion might have ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years, but they had never faced anything like humanity. That night, as reports of the victory spread across human space, something changed in the way people looked at the stars. The fear was still there, but it was mixed with something else now. Pride. Humanity had struck back against impossible odds, and Ambassador Kang Min-ji sent one final message to the alien fleet before going to sleep. "This is just the beginning. You wanted to conquer Earth? Come and try." In the depths of space, the HFY Galactic Dominion fleet hung silent. For the first time in their long history, they had encountered a Dr. Kim Soo-young pressed her face against the laboratory window of the research vessel Gwangju Dawn, watching the wreckage of alien ships drift past in the void. 3 days had passed since Captain Lee Do-hyun's victory near Mars, and now every piece of alien technology was precious. "Bring that fragment closer to the ship," she called to the recovery team. "I want to study their hull material." Kim Soo-young had spent her entire career studying life from other worlds, but she had always imagined it would be peaceful contact. Instead, she found herself trying to understand an enemy that wanted to enslave or destroy humanity. The first alien corpse they recovered was unlike anything in Earth's biology books. The creature looked like a cross between a jellyfish and a spider, with translucent skin that showed complex organs beneath. But what fascinated Kim Soo-young most was how soft and delicate it seemed. "Computer, run a full biological analysis," she ordered. The results appeared on her screen within minutes, and Kim Soo-young felt her excitement growing. The alien's bones were hollow and light like a bird's. Its muscles were designed for low gravity and minimal stress. Even its brain showed patterns that suggested a life of comfort and safety. "This creature never evolved to fight," she whispered to herself. Over the next several hours, Kim Soo-young studied samples from 3 different alien species. Each one told the same story. These beings had evolved on worlds with plenty of food, safe environments, and no natural predators. They were the products of easy lives. She thought about Earth's history. Millions of years of ice ages, predators, diseases, and competition for limited resources. Humans had survived by being tougher, meaner, and more adaptable than anything else on their planet. "Dr. Kim, we have a priority message from Earth Command," her assistant interrupted. The screen flickered, showing Admiral Park Hyun's tired face. Behind him, Kim Soo-young could see the busy command center of Luna Station. "Doctor, I need your analysis of the enemy. What are we dealing with?" Kim Soo-young took a deep breath. "Admiral, I think these aliens have never faced anything like us. They evolved on paradise worlds. No famines, no plagues, no ice ages. They've never had to fight for survival." "What does that mean for the war?" "It means they don't understand us. They can't comprehend why we would choose death over slavery, because they've never faced that choice themselves." Admiral Park Hyun nodded slowly. "Keep studying them, Doctor. Every weakness you find might save human lives." While Kim Soo-young continued her research, Major Yoon Tae-hyung was putting human adaptability to the test. His Special Forces unit had volunteered for a mission that most people thought was suicide: infiltrate an alien supply depot on the dark side of Mercury. "Remember, we're not trying to win a battle," Yoon Tae-hyung told his 12 soldiers as their stealth ship approached Mercury. "We're trying to prove something. We're showing these aliens that humans can survive anywhere." The supply depot was a massive structure that the aliens had built in just 2 days. It looked like a giant flower made of metal and crystal, beautiful but completely inhuman. The aliens had chosen Mercury because they assumed no carbon-based life could survive there. They were wrong. Yoon Tae-hyung's team wore experimental suits that could protect them from the extreme temperature changes on Mercury. The suits were heavy and clumsy, but humans had learned to fight in worse conditions. "Target acquired," whispered Sergeant Choi Min-jae through the radio. "I count 40 guards, all different species. Yoon Tae-hyung studied the depot through his binoculars. The alien guards moved slowly and carefully, as if they were afraid of damaging something. They had obviously never fought in a hostile environment. Execute. Plan Alpha, he ordered. The attack began at Mercury's dawn, when the temperature difference created massive dust storms. The aliens couldn't see more than a few meters in any direction, but humans had learned to fight in sandstorms, blizzards, and fog. Yoon Tae-hyung's soldiers moved like ghosts through the swirling dust. They used knives instead of guns, keeping silent until the moment they struck. The alien guards never knew what hit them. Within 30 minutes, the supply depot was in human hands. But Yoon Tae-hyung's mission wasn't over yet. He needed to send a message. Plant the charges on their fuel supplies, he ordered. But leave the food and medical equipment. We're not monsters. The explosion could be seen from Earth's moon. When the alien fleet sent investigators, they found a note written in perfect galactic standard. Humans were here. We can go anywhere. You can go in places you can't. Next time, send more guards. The psychological effect was enormous. The aliens had thought Mercury was a safe hiding place, but humans had turned it into a battlefield. Across the Dominion fleet, soldiers began to wonder, where else might humans appear? Meanwhile, engineer Choi Ji-won was making discoveries that would change the war completely. Working in a secret laboratory beneath Seoul, she had been given pieces of alien shield technology to analyze. The problem with their shields is that they're too perfect, she explained to her team. They're designed to stop conventional weapons firing in predictable patterns. Choi Ji-won had grown up fixing broken machines on a poor farming world. She understood that the best technology wasn't always the most advanced. It was the technology that worked when everything went wrong. Look at this, she said, pointing to a holographic display of alien shield frequencies. They cycle through defensive patterns every 3.7 seconds. It's perfectly logical and completely predictable. So how do we beat it? Asked her assistant. Choi. Ji-won smiled. We don't fire conventional weapons in predictable patterns. We fire everything we have in the most chaotic way possible. She began developing new weapons that fired randomly. Plasma bursts that changed frequency every microsecond, missiles that flew in spiral patterns, even simple kinetic rounds that tumbled unpredictably through space. The aliens built their defenses to stop an organized attack, she realized. They never considered that someone might attack them with controlled chaos. Her weapons designs were immediately sent to every human ship and station. Within days, human forces were using chaos protocols that made their attacks completely unpredictable. The aliens didn't know how to respond. Their computer systems were designed to analyze and counter logical attack patterns. Chaos was beyond their understanding. Fleet Commander Lim Sung-min was the first to use these new tactics in a major battle. His small fleet encountered a Dominion patrol near Jupiter's moons, and instead of retreating, he decided to test humanity's new weapons. All ships, execute Chaos Protocol 7, he ordered. The human ships opened fire with everything they had, but not in any pattern the aliens could predict. Plasma beams spiraled through space, missiles changed direction randomly, and kinetic rounds bounced off asteroids before hitting their targets. The alien shields, designed to stop organized attacks, failed completely. Within minutes, 6 alien ships were destroyed while the humans suffered only minor damage. But Lim Sung-min's victory had consequences beyond the battlefield. His ships captured detailed recordings of alien communications during the fight, and what they heard was surprising. They're panicking, reported Communications Officer Lee Na-young. The aliens are actually arguing with each other. Some want to retreat, others want to call for reinforcements. The recordings revealed something important. The Galactic Dominion wasn't as united as they pretended. Different alien species had different ideas about how to handle the human problem. Lee Na-young spent hours analyzing the intercepted communications. She discovered that several alien species were starting to question whether the war was winnable. Some were even asking if humans might be too dangerous to conquer. Commander, I think we're scaring them, she reported. They've never faced an enemy like us. That night, Lim Sung-min sent a coded message to every human ship in the solar system. The enemy is not invincible. They're afraid of us. Keep fighting. Across human space, the message spread like wildfire. In the orbital factories around Earth, workers volunteered for extra shifts to build more ships. On Mars, miners began digging deeper to find rare metals for weapons. Even children on the research stations started learning military protocols. But the most important change was happening in the minds of humanity's leaders. They were beginning to understand that this war was about more than just Earth's survival. It was about what kind of species humanity would become. Ambassador Kang Minji summed it up in a speech that was broadcast to every human settlement. The aliens thought we would submit because that's what every other species has done. But they don't understand us. We're not just fighting for our freedom. We're fighting for the right to be ourselves. Dr. Kim Soo-young made another important discovery when she analyzed alien neural patterns. The Dominion species all showed signs of what she called pacification conditioning. Their brains had been altered to suppress aggressive impulses. They've been breeding the fight out of themselves for thousands of years, she explained in her report. They can't understand violence because it's been removed from their nature. The implications were staggering. The Galactic Dominion hadn't conquered the galaxy through military might. They had done it by making other species too peaceful to resist. But it didn't work on us, Kim Soo-young realized. Humans are naturally resistant to that kind of conditioning. We're too chaotic, too. War Commander Thax Molan studied the holographic display showing human space, its 4 red eyes glowing with predatory hunger. Unlike most Dominion species, the Thax had evolved as hunters on a harsh world. They served as the Dominion's military, armed precisely because they understood violence in ways other species could not. High Arbiter Veltaurus grows weak, Thax Molan growled to its subordinates. These humans have killed 3,000 of our ships in 2 weeks. It is time for the Dominion to respond with proper force. The War Commander's flagship, the Eternal Dominance, was the size of a small moon. Around it gathered the core battle fleet of the Galactic Dominion, 5,000 ships that had never known defeat. Their target was humanity's outer colonies, starting with the mining stations around Saturn. We will show these humans what real war looks like, Thax Molan declared. We will crush their colonies one by one until they beg for the mercy of slavery. But the War Commander had made the same mistake as every other Dominion leader. It assumed humans would fight like civilized beings. Colonel Park Ji-young stood in the command center of Titan Station, watching the massive alien fleet approach through the sensor displays. The mining station was home to 50,000 civilians and had never been designed for military action. Against 5,000 alien warships, it should have been helpless. Evacuation ships are ready, Colonel, reported her second-in-command. We can get most of the civilians to safety. Park Ji-young shook her head. No evacuation. If we run, they'll just follow us to the next colony. We make our stand here. Her officers stared at her in shock. Colonel, we have maybe 100 security officers and some mining equipment. They have 5,000 warships. Yes, Park Ji-young agreed, but they're coming to our home. We know every tunnel, every mining shaft, every piece of machinery on this station. They don't. Park Ji-young had grown up on Titan Station. Her father had been a miner, her mother an engineer. She knew the station like other people knew their own bodies. More importantly, she understood something the aliens didn't. Sometimes the Defender's greatest weapon was intimate knowledge of the battlefield. Send a message to all civilians, she ordered. Anyone who wants to fight, report to the armory. Anyone who doesn't, head to the deep shelters. We're about to turn this mining station into a fortress. The transformation was remarkable. Miners who had spent their lives digging through ice became explosive experts, using their drilling charges to create improvised bombs. Engineers rerouted power systems to create weapon emplacements. Even the children helped, using their small size to crawl through maintenance shafts and carry messages. When the alien fleet arrived, they expected to find a defenseless mining station. Instead, they found a hive of angry humans who had turned their home into a death trap. The first alien landing ships touched down near the main docking bay, where Thax Molan expected to set up a command post. Instead, they found themselves in a killing field. The humans had removed all the lights, creating perfect darkness. Then they attacked with mining lasers, cutting tools, and pure savage fury. "Where are they?" screamed an alien soldier as humans seemed to appear from everywhere at once. The defenders used maintenance tunnels to move unseen, striking without warning before disappearing again. Park Ji-young led the main defense from the central command post, but she could be anywhere at any time. The station's communication system let her coordinate attacks across dozens of levels, turning every corridor into an ambush site. "Mining Shaft 7, this is command. Alien squad heading your way, level 12. Copy that command. We're ready. For them." The aliens found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to know their every move before they made it. Worse, the humans were using the station's own systems as weapons. Airlocks opened unexpectedly, dumping alien soldiers into space. Mining equipment came alive, grabbing enemies with mechanical claws. Even the elevators became weapons, dropping attacking forces into prepared traps. War dash. Commander Thax Molan watched the reports in growing fury. Its invasion force was being torn apart by miners and maintenance workers. The casualty reports were impossible. How could primitive humans be killing Dominion soldiers at a rate of 10 to 1? "Send more troops," Thax Molan ordered. "Double the landing force." But that only made things worse. The more soldiers the aliens sent to Titan Station, the more targets the humans had. Park Ji-young's defenders knew every hiding place, every escape route, every way to move through the station without being seen. The battle raged for 3 days. Slowly, the aliens managed to secure some areas of the station, but at a terrible cost. For every meter they advanced, they lost dozens of soldiers. The humans fought with a combination of advanced planning and desperate improvisation that the aliens couldn't counter. On the third night, Park Ji-young made a decision that would be remembered throughout human space. Instead of defending, she ordered a counterattack. "All units, this is command. We're going to take the fight to them, hit their landing ships, make them regret coming here." The attack began at 0300 station time, when most of the alien soldiers were trying to rest. The humans emerged from the tunnels like ghosts, striking at alien positions with surgical precision. They used shaped charges to collapse corridors, trapping enemy units. They sabotaged alien equipment, turning the invaders' own weapons against them. Most importantly, they captured alien communication gear and began broadcasting their own messages on Dominion frequencies. "This is Colonel Park Ji-young of the Titan Defense Force," she announced to the alien fleet. "You came here to crush helpless miners. Instead, you found warriors. We've killed 3,000 of your soldiers, and we're just getting started. Leave now, or we'll kill 3,000 more." The psychological impact was devastating. Across the Dominion fleet, soldiers began to understand that they weren't fighting a conventional war. They were fighting humans, creatures that treated their own homes as battlefields and turned every piece of civilian equipment into a weapon. Meanwhile, Captain Han Minho was preparing for his own impossible battle above Mars. His small fleet consisted of 12 converted cargo ships and freighters, vessels that had never been designed for combat. Against them came a Dominion battle group of 60 heavy warships. "Sir, shouldn't we retreat?" asked his navigator. "We're completely outgunned." Han Minho studied the tactical display, noting the positions of Mars' 2 moons and the thick asteroid belt that surrounded the red planet. Most military commanders would see obstacles. Han Minho saw opportunities. "No retreat," he ordered. "We're going to use this planet as our ally." Mars had a powerful magnetic field and a complex orbital environment. The cargo ships might be slow and clumsy, but they were also maneuverable in ways the big alien warships couldn't match. "All ships, execute plan slingshot," Han Minho commanded. The human ships dove toward Mars, using the planet's gravity to accelerate, while the alien fleet struggled to match their course. But Han Minho wasn't just running. He was positioning his ships for an attack that would use Mars itself as a weapon. "Fire the tether mines," he ordered, as his ships swung around the planet's north pole. The mines were simple devices, cables, with explosive charges attached. But when they tangled in the magnetic field lines around Mars, they created a web of destruction that caught the pursuing alien ships completely by surprise. The first alien ship to hit the tether web was torn apart as the cables wrapped around its hull and exploded. The second ship tried to reverse course but couldn't brake fast enough in Mars's gravity well. It crashed into one of the planet's moons with enough force to crack the surface. Han Minho's cargo ships kept moving, using Mars's orbital debris as cover while they launched more improvised weapons. Old mining charges became space mines. Cargo containers full of metal scraps became kinetic projectiles. Even the ship's own waste heat became a weapon when focused through makeshift beam projectors. "Target their command ship," Han Minho ordered. "If we can break their coordination, the rest will panic." The alien command ship was a massive vessel that stayed safely behind the battle line, directing the attack with sophisticated computers and communication systems. It was heavily shielded and well protected by conventional standards. But Han Minho wasn't fighting conventionally. He ordered all 12 of his ships to link their power systems together, creating a single massive energy beam that no one ship could have generated alone. The beam cut through the alien command ship's shields like they weren't there, crippling its systems and leaving the rest of the fleet without coordination. The remaining alien ships retreated in confusion, leaving behind 15 wrecks and hundreds of dead crew members. Han Minho had destroyed a Dominion battle group with a fleet of converted garbage haulers. Communications officer Lee Na-young was monitoring alien transmissions from her post aboard the research ship Soul's Hope when she made a discovery that changed everything. "Captain, you need to hear this," she called to her commanding officer. "The aliens are arguing with each other." The intercepted communications revealed that the Galactic Dominion was not the unified empire it pretended to be. Different species had different opinions about the war, and some were beginning to question whether fighting humans was worth the cost. "The Velcaran species wants to withdraw their ships from the war," Lee Na-young reported. Ambassador Kang Minji sat in the communication chamber aboard the diplomatic vessel Soul's Voice, watching as High Arbiter Veltoris materialized on the holographic display. The crystal alien looked different now. Its edges were duller, its light dimmer. 3 months of war with humanity had clearly taken a toll. "Ambassador," Veltoris began, its voice lacking the absolute confidence it had shown during their first meeting. "The Galactic Dominion wishes to discuss terms." Kang Minji smiled coldly. She had been expecting this moment. Reports from across the galaxy showed that the Dominion was struggling with something they had never faced before. An enemy that refused to surrender and was actually winning battles. "Terms," she repeated. "I thought the Dominion only offered 2 choices, submission or death." "Circumstances have evolved," Veltoris admitted. "Your species has proven more resilient than anticipated. The Dominion is prepared to offer humanity a place within our hierarchy. You would maintain limited self-governance while accepting Dominion oversight." "So slavery with better conditions," Kang Minji said flatly. "It is a generous offer," Veltoris insisted. "No other species has ever been given such consideration." Kang Minji leaned forward, her eyes hard as steel. "High Arbiter, let me explain something about humans. We don't negotiate our freedom. We don't accept limited self-governance. We don't bow to anyone, no matter how generous their offer might seem." She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. "The Dominion had its chance for peace. You demanded our surrender. We gave you our answer then, and it hasn't changed. There will be no negotiation, no compromise, no half measures. The war continues until every human world is free, and every species in this galaxy has the right to choose their own path." The transmission was broadcast across both human space and the Dominion communication network. Within hours, the message had reached every world in the galaxy. The response was immediate and dramatic. On dozens of Dominion worlds, subject species began openly discussing rebellion. The humans had rejected the same offer their ancestors had accepted out of fear. If these newcomers could refuse the Dominion's mercy, perhaps freedom was actually possible. General Kim Dong-woo received word of the failed negotiations while preparing for Operation Liberation, humanity's first attempt to free an entire alien world. The target was Kepler 442b, a garden world where the Velcaron species lived under Dominion control. "Sir, intelligence reports the Velcarans are ready to help us," reported his aide. "They've been planning their own rebellion for months." Kim Dongwoo studied the tactical displays showing Kepler 442b. The planet had strong natural defenses, thick forests, deep oceans, and mountain ranges that could hide an army. But it also had something more important, a population that wanted to be free. "Good," he said. "It's time the galaxy learned that humans don't fight to conquer. We fight to liberate." The liberation of Kepler 442b began with the most unusual military operation in human history. Instead of bombarding the planet from orbit, General Kim Dongwoo's forces landed in small groups across the continents, carrying supplies and weapons for the Velcaron resistance. The Velcarons were tall, graceful beings with silver skin and large, intelligent eyes. They had been enslaved by the Dominion for over 2,000 years, forced to work in factories that produced luxury goods for their conquerors. "General Kim Dongwoo," said Velcaron resistance leader Silandros, "we have waited so long for someone to show us that the Dominion could be resisted. Your species has given us hope." "Hope is just the beginning," Kim Dongwoo replied. "Now we're going to give you freedom." The liberation campaign was unlike any war the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of humans conquering an alien world, they were fighting alongside the native population to free them from oppression. Velcaran knowledge of their planet combined with human military tactics created a force that the Dominion garrison couldn't handle. The humans taught the Velcarans how to make improvised weapons from industrial equipment. In return, the aliens showed them secret paths through the forests and underwater caves that connected different continents. Together, they turned the entire planet into a fortress of resistance. The Dominion sent reinforcements, but they found themselves fighting two species at once: humans who excelled at destruction, and Velcarans who knew every hiding place on their world. The combination was devastating. Within 6 weeks, Kepler 442b was free. The Dominion garrison had been destroyed or driven off, and for the first time in millennia, the Velcarans governed themselves. The liberation sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. Subject species on dozens of worlds began their own rebellions, inspired by the example of cooperation between humans and Velcarans. While General Kim Dongwoo was liberating worlds, Dr. Moon Yuna was making discoveries that would change the war completely. Working in a secret laboratory beneath Seoul, she had been studying captured Dominion control technology. "It's not just political control," she explained to her research team. "The Dominion uses psionic fields to suppress aggressive instincts in subject species. They literally make it impossible for enslaved populations to fight back." The discovery explained why no species had ever successfully rebelled against the Dominion. The aliens didn't just conquer with superior weapons. They used mental conditioning to remove the very desire for freedom. "But humans are different," Dr. Moon Yuna continued. "Our neural patterns are too chaotic for the suppression fields to work properly. We're naturally resistant to psionic control." The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just fighting a military war. They were fighting for the mental freedom of every enslaved species in the galaxy. "Can we reverse the conditioning?" asked her assistant, Dr. Moon. Yuna smiled. "I think so, but we'll need to get close to the main control stations." Captain Han Ji-hoon specialized in the impossible missions that other officers called suicidal. When he volunteered to raid the Dominion's central database on the fortress world of Nexus Minor, everyone thought he had lost his mind. "Sir, Nexus Minor is protected by 1,000 ships and planetary defense systems that have never been breached," his second-in-command protested. "That's why they won't expect us," Han Ji-hoon replied calmly. "Sometimes the best way through a strong defense is to walk through the front door." His plan was audacious in its simplicity. Instead of attacking Nexus Minor, his small fleet would disguise themselves as Dominion ships returning from patrol. They would land on the fortress world pretending to need repairs, then strike at the central database when the Defender's guard was down. The plan required perfect acting and incredible luck. Han Ji-hoon's ships had been modified to look like damaged Dominion vessels, complete with fake battle damage and altered energy signatures. His crew had practiced alien mannerisms and studied Dominion protocols until they could fool casual inspection. Nexus, minor control. This is Patrol Fleet Zeta 7. An Ji-hoon transmitted as they approached the fortress world. We have sustained damage in combat with human forces and request emergency docking. Copy that, Zeta 7. Proceed to Dock 12 for repairs. It worked. The disguised human ships landed on one of the most heavily defended worlds in the galaxy, without firing a shot. But the real mission was just beginning. An Ji-hoon's team had exactly 2 hours before shift change would reveal their deception. In that time, they needed to infiltrate the central database, steal critical intelligence, and escape. The database was protected by alien security systems that should have been impossible to bypass. But humans had one advantage. They didn't. Think like the aliens who had designed the defenses. The security system assumes intruders will try to be subtle, observed Lieutenant Park Suman as they studied the building's layout. What if we're not subtle at all? Instead of sneaking through the complex security network, An Ji-hoon's team blasted through the wall with mining charges and fought their way to the database core. The aliens had never designed their security to handle enemies who treated stealth and violence as interchangeable tactics. The stolen data was beyond valuable. It contained the locations of every Dominion fleet, the identities of resistance movements throughout the galaxy, and most importantly, the location of the Dominion's capital world. Earth Command, this is Captain An Ji-hoon. He transmitted as, his ships escaped Nexus Minor. Mission accomplished. We have everything we need to end this war. The intelligence revealed that 3 major alien civilizations were secretly negotiating to withdraw from the Dominion. The hegemony of suns was tired of providing ships for a war they couldn't understand. The machine collective questioned the ISI logic of fighting humans who adapted faster than their computers could calculate. Even some of the crystal hierarchies were beginning to doubt Dominion invincibility. Most importantly, the data showed that the Dominion's power structure was cracking. Subject species across the galaxy were beginning to rebel, inspired by humanity's example and supported by human advisors, and Weapons Admiral Park Hyun studied the intelligence reports from his command post on Luna Station. The war had evolved, far beyond Earth's defense. Humanity was now leading a galactic revolution against 10,000 years of oppression. Admiral, we're receiving surrender requests from 17 Dominion worlds, reported his communications officer. They want to join the Human Alliance and 3 more major domain. Fleet Admiral Park Hyun stood on the bridge of the EDS Indomitable, watching as the largest armada in galactic history assembled around Earth. 47,000 ships from a dozen species had answered humanity's call for the final battle against the Galactic Dominion. Human vessels formed the core of the fleet. Sleek destroyers, massive battleships, and the experimental dreadnoughts that had never been tested in combat. Around them flew ships from the liberated worlds. Graceful Velkaran, cruisers, crystalline Zephyrian fighters, and the geometric vessels of the machine collective defectors. Admiral, we're receiving the final fleet count, reported his communications officer. 47,236 allied ships. The Dominion force approaching the galactic core numbers just over 60,000. Park Hyun nodded calmly. The numbers were against them, but this war had never been about numbers. It had been about will, adaptability, and the simple refusal to surrender. Signal all ships, he ordered. We jumped to the Nexus system in 1 hour. This is what we've been fighting for. The chance to end the Dominion forever. On the planet's surface, Ground Marshal Jang Soon-hee was making final preparations for the planetary assault. While the space battle raged above Nexus Prime, her forces would need to capture the Dominion's command center and disable their psionic control network. Marshal, the Liberation Forces are ready, reported Colonel Yu Jinwoo. 2 million volunteers from 60 different species, all equipped with human-designed weapons and tactics. Jang Soon-hee looked out at the vast army that had assembled in Earth's orbital shipyards. Humans fought alongside Velkarans. Former Dominion soldiers stood next to freed slaves, and species that had been enemies for millennia were now united by a common cause. Good, she said. Today we don't just win a battle, we free the galaxy. The jump to hyperspace was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. 47,000 ships moving as one, carrying the hopes of billions of enslaved beings toward the final confrontation with their oppressors. When they emerged in the Nexus system, they found the Dominion fleet waiting in perfect formation around their capital world. High Arbiter Veltoris had gathered every ship, every weapon, every resource the Dominion possessed for this final battle. All ships. This is Admiral Park Hyun. He broadcast on all frequencies. Today we finish what they started. Today we show the galaxy that freedom is worth any price. The battle began with the largest exchange of fire in galactic history. 60,000 Dominion ships opened up with everything they had, filling space with energy beams, missiles, and exotic weapons that bent reality itself. But the Allied fleet didn't respond conventionally. Instead, they used every tactic humans had developed during the war. Chaos protocols, adaptive formations, and the kind of creative destruction that had won so many impossible victories. Captain Lee Do-yeon, now commanding the super dreadnought Seoul's Fury, led the main assault with a fleet of converted civilian ships. They moved through the battle like dancers, never where the enemy expected them to be, turning the Dominion's superior numbers into a liability. All ships, execute maneuver tsunami, Lee Do-hyun ordered. The human vessels split into 1,000 different groups, each attacking from a different angle. Some dove toward Nexus Prime's surface, others spiraled around the system's gas giant, and a few actually used the local sun's gravity to accelerate to impossible speeds. The Dominion fleet, designed for orderly battle, couldn't cope with such chaos. Their commanders tried to respond to every threat at once and ended up responding to none effectively. Meanwhile, in the deepest parts of space, Special Operations Commander Kwon Min-jae was leading the most dangerous mission of the war. His team's job was to infiltrate Nexus Prime itself and capture the Dominion's leadership. "Remember, we want them alive," Kwon Min-jae told his soldiers as their stealth ship approached the planet. "Dead leaders become martyrs. Living ones can order the surrender." The planetary assault began with a trick that only humans would have attempted. Instead of landing on the planet's surface, Kwon Min-jae's team used captured Dominion transportation technology to materialize directly inside the command center. The aliens never expected enemies to appear in their most secure location. By the time they realized what was happening, human soldiers were already securing critical systems and capturing key personnel. High Arbiter Veltoris was found in its command chamber, staring at displays showing the battle in space. The crystal being seemed smaller somehow, its light dimmed by the reality of defeat. "It is over," Veltoris said simply as Kwon Min-jae's soldiers surrounded it. "I do not understand how, but it is over." "You never understood us," Kwon Min-jae replied. "That was your mistake." While the command center was being secured, Dr. Kim Soo-young and engineer Choi Ji-won were racing through the lower levels of the complex, seeking the Dominion's psionic control network. This was the technology that had kept billions of beings enslaved for millennia, and destroying it was more important than any military victory. There, Dr. Kim Soo-young pointed to a massive chamber filled with crystalline structures that hummed with mental energy. "That's the source of the suppression fields." Engineer Choi Ji-won studied the alien machinery with the same practical eye she had always brought to broken equipment. "It's beautiful, but it's still just a machine, and machines can be turned off." Working together, they began dismantling the control systems that had kept an entire galaxy in mental bondage. Each crystal they destroyed freed thousands of minds, and each freed mind meant another potential ally in the fight for freedom. "Network is down," Choi Ji-won announced as the last crystal shattered. Every psionic suppression field in the galaxy just went offline. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Across thousands of worlds, enslaved species suddenly found themselves able to think clearly for the first time in generations. The artificial docility that had kept them submissive vanished, replaced by the natural desire for freedom that the Dominion had tried so hard to suppress. In space, the battle was turning decisively against the Dominion. Their ships, designed for fighting passive enemies, couldn't handle opponents who fought back with creativity and fury. More importantly, Many Dominion vessels were suddenly receiving new orders as their crews experienced mental freedom for the first time. "Admiral, we're getting surrender signals from over 20,000 enemy ships," reported the communications officer. "Their crews are refusing to fight now that the suppression fields are down." Admiral Park Hyun watched as the Dominion fleet began to collapse from within. Ships that had been enemies moments before were now joining the Allied formation, their crews finally free to choose their own destiny. "Signal the remaining Dominion forces," Park Hyun ordered. "Tell them their leadership has been captured, their control network is destroyed, and their empire is over. They can surrender now or face destruction." The response came from War Commander Thaxamolan, the last Dominion leader still fighting. "I will never surrender to primitives," the alien snarled. "The Dominion dies with honor." "Then it dies," Park Hyun replied sadly. The final phase of the battle was swift and decisive. The remaining Dominion loyalists fought with desperate courage, but they were outnumbered, outmaneuvered, and fighting for a cause that no longer existed. Within 6 hours, the last Dominion ship had either surrendered or been destroyed. Nexus Prime surrendered without further resistance. The planet that had been the center of galactic oppression for 10,000 years was now in the hands of the Liberation Army. Ambassador Kang Minji stood in the Great Assembly Hall where the Dominion had once issued orders to the entire galaxy. Now it would serve a different purpose, the birthplace of a new kind of galactic government. "Representatives of free worlds," she began, addressing delegates from hundreds of species who had gathered to witness the historic moment. "The Galactic Dominion is no more, but we are not here to replace one empire with another." She gestured to the mixed crowd of humans and aliens who filled the hall. "Humanity fought this war not to conquer, but to liberate. We offer not rule, but partnership. Each world, each species, will govern itself. The only law we propose is simple. No one shall rule over another without consent." The cheers that followed could be heard across the planet. For the first time in galactic history, a conquering force was offering freedom instead of demanding submission. Admiral Park Hyun watched the celebrations from the bridge of his flagship, but his expression was thoughtful rather than jubilant. The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. "Admiral, what are your orders?" asked his aide. Park Hyun looked out at the thousands of ships from dozens of species, all working together to secure the peace they had fought so hard to achieve. "Send a message to Earth," he said. "Tell them the war is won and the galaxy is free. Tell them that humanity kept its promise. We never surrendered, and we never forgot what we were fighting for." He paused, thinking about the long journey from that first alien ultimatum to this moment of victory. "And remind them that this is just the beginning. We've proven that freedom is possible. Now we have to prove that different species can live together as equals." In his private chamber, High Arbiter Veltoris sat in custody, trying to understand what had happened to the galaxy it had helped rule for so long. A human guard brought the